Talking business news now, we are focusing on the transport sector as the reduction in the duties of vehicles and tractors from 35 to about 10% may take off just next week. Well, that's according to reports from the Nigeria Customs Service earlier this week. Comptroller General of the Customs Service, Hamid Ali, who disclosed this to journalists in Abuja, said the management of the service is expecting an official communication from the Finance Ministry on the matter any moment from now. He also says the vehicle tariff reduction is contained in the 2020 Finance Act, was initiated by the Nigeria Customs Service to ease the cost of transportation in the country. With regards to the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement as well, the Comptroller General of the service notes that the service would also need certain inputs from the EFCFTA Secretariat, such as rules of origin, as this should not be left to the chambers of the commerce alone, adding that the Nigeria Customs Service should be part of the team. Joining me now live in our Lagos studio to discuss this and much more, I have economist Michael Ilo. Good to have you on the Breakfast Show today.
Thank you for having me.
Now, the 2020 Finance Act has come after so many deliberations, now signed into law. We are expecting the dividends of this new document to come in anytime from now. We have a slash in terms of vehicle import duty. For some, it's a welcome development. It's a way to stimulate the economy and also cuts the rate of vehicles, the high rates that we've seen over the past few months. And for others, especially local assemblers, the reaction is that this isn't a good move for local assemblers. But irrespective of whatever recommendations and a whole lot more, the document has already started kickstarting, implementing all of the issues that have been addressed. So what's your thought on this?
Well, I think we should put this thing in context. There's what you call effective rate. There is the normal tariff, and there is the levy that is imposed.
Yeah.
There's this new National Automotive Industrial Development Plan that was passed into law during the Goodluck Jonathan administration. So normally there is a 35% levy across board. But to stimulate local production and maybe encourage people who want to come in and set up assembly plants, they added another 35%. So it is that at 5% that they are removing now.
Now, yes.
Maybe
and slashing it down to about 10.
So there's still an effective rate of 40%. So that should suffice for the advantage the local assemblers are looking for. But in a bigger context, I look at this because the argument of the government is that they want to help people with transportation. But as far as I'm concerned, if the 35 to 5% actually is for new vehicles, government said new vehicles being assembled locally are about 14,000 to 20,000 in a year.
Annually.
Which is less than 5% of
the demand.
So if we've had this policy for 7 years and the local manufacturers, so to say,
we're not able to make this their cash cow.
They've not taken advantage of it to the fullest extent. So government needs to think further forward. This policy is subject to review every 5 years. It has been due for 2 years now. They are doing it now, so they should be able to align their business objectives with whatever the government is coming up with and make sure they're able to play along.
And what do you think, what sort of challenge does this also throw to the Nigeria Ports Authority as well, the Customs Service? Because we would likely see an increase in volume of importation of this vehicle since there's a slash and a whole lot more. We have people within that value chain who would also like to cash in on this opportunity, and then also dealing with the porous level of our borders as well, because that's always the alternative for those who indulge in sharp practices. Yes, the customs is trying to do its bid in ensuring that we have a nip in the bud with that area, but there's still dubious and deviant elements within the system.
I think the government is trying to use one stone to kill 2 or 3 birds. So while telling you, okay, we use this to encourage people who want to transport locally, they're also having an eye on AFCTA.
Yes.
They are looking at the issues of the borders. They want to incentivize people from using those porous borders by reducing the rate. So in the short to medium term, I think government has some things to benefit. Marginally, it will improve. But the bigger question is how receptive are our ports for things like that. Lagos State, the ports of Lagos are too congested and
automation is still slow.
You know, still slow. I was at the customs website, I think early this morning. It's not user friendly. Most of the things there are dated. The last press release from the Custom General was September 2017. Even this one they are talking about, by the time you talk, 1 hour later it should be on your website. Most of these import duties, they are not put on those websites. People should be able to, from the comfort of their rooms, know how much they are going to pay for this, even before they buy the car. If I buy this car at $20,000, how much duty will it take me? I don't have to pass through agents. Let me go to the website and do some calculations based on some templates that have been input there to make it easy. Otherwise, the corruption that we're trying to cut, we find a way to re-enter the system.
And in terms of standardization as well, this also throws the question of what sort of standards are we trying to set, especially when you're looking at countries of origin? What is the value of these vehicles? What state are they coming in? What are the challenges here? Does it meet the standard that we have? We have a whole lot of checklists to tick.
Well, except you want to look like Cuba with their old vehicles. I think there's little to nothing we can do about the issue of standards. Maybe there was a policy some years back that, okay, nothing more than 10 years, you come here. We can say maybe nothing more than 5 years, but we can't really ask people to be buying new vehicles. The average family, at least the bottom 60%, earns less than 500,000 in a whole year. So that is less than the cost of even a Tokumbo vehicle, as it were. So if you want to help the poor, you have to look at a holistic strategy. Okay, if you take an average family, what do they need to survive? Government should invest in transportation networks across board, from water to rail to mass transit, so that they don't have to be using vehicles. Even if you lower the vehicles' duties to be zero, and there are so many vehicles on the road, where are the roads? At the end of the day, we spend all the time that we are supposed to use to get to our destination. We spend it in traffic. So government should, like they are doing with the rail, they should also do intercity. Lagos is right for that. Federal government should partner with Lagos State to look for ways to make sure that people conveying from one end of the city to another, they don't spend all the time inside traffic.
Well, what sort of infrastructure would it now require for us to have effective intermodal means of transportation? We look at the mass transit system, for example, the aftermath of the NSAS protest as well. We had buses burnt as well, and a whole lot more. So now, in terms of strategizing and creating a plan, a working plan, adopting this mass transit system, we also have to look at how do we adopt rail, how do we explore the water transport as well. Yes, we have these being practiced, but at suboptimal level, we are not necessarily exploring these transportation mechanisms.
Well, I passed through Bega yesterday, and for the first time I saw those buses that were burnt during the NSAS protest. It saddened me, you know, but at this level, I think government should partner with the private sector. It should not be the face of transportation. Create policies, incentivize investors, and look for ways to make sure that these things go. Government has been talking about water transportation for a while now. I think we should be seeing the results, you know, encourage people to do it. And to a large extent, you know, even if you need to look for foreign partners, these are things, and even the government itself, they should encourage themselves. You know, you lead by example. People are afraid of water in Nigeria. I transport myself over water across times. People are afraid of water. They don't want to do it. But if you can find a way to, maybe the governor goes to the office every day, using from VI to wherever it can take him before he takes his bus, and the media picks it up and says, okay, the governor uses boats to get to work, and it's easier. It takes him 20 minutes instead of the normal 2 hours. He doesn't have to use siren. People will be encouraged to take that. So there are so many things that can be done.
We still have to work on modalities within that area. Yeah. But Mayaka, do you think we would have a time where old rickety vehicles and buses will be phased out in Nigeria, in Lagos, for example, as our model state for the country? Do you think we're going to see a time where we would phase out all of this old rickety vehicles, that combustion is just to reduce combustion level, and then we have newer vehicles that would serve the purpose of transportation?
That is actually being done. We don't seem to think much about it, but I'll give you an example. There are vehicles that were maybe some Honda brands that have been used in Lagos some years back. When His Excellency Fashola came in, he made some policy decisions. You know, if your car breaks down on Third Mainland Bridge and they tow it away, you look at the cost of that. So you sell that car away, you buy a new one. That car somehow is not grounded. If you go to Ibadan and some interlands, you find out that these vehicles are being operated there. So it's about policy. Lagos State cannot be on the same level with maybe Osun State or Ebonyi State. So there are some vehicles that maybe may not be worthy of Lagos Road that those people there can still find a way to use.
We'll definitely look forward to a time where we also have improved road infrastructure. We don't have to spend hours in traffic and much more. We also have to explore our water, rail and road transport resources as well, and do more to ensure that there's ease in terms of city living or urban living at the end of the day. Thank you very much for your time on the Breakfast Show today, Michael Ilo. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for having me.